Welcome in on what could be a thundering Thursday. The Grizzlies will open training camp in Nashville on Tuesday. So we're less than a week away. Perfect for our conversation, our weekly conversation with the television voice of those Grizzlies. That's Pete Pranica. He comes your way in about 7 minutes or so. The long ball was big in the bigs last night. More on that in a second. The SEC rivalries have now been established for the next 4 years. Those are pretty. I think they got it right for the most part. I know Lane Kiffin is a little upset that he's got to play Oklahoma every year instead of Vanderbilt. I don't blame him, I guess. His schedule got tougher. We're going to talk about all of that, a lot of college football with the great writer from the Sporting News. That would be Bill Bender. He'll come our way at about the bottom of the hours. The Tigers get ready to head to Boca Raton, and we get set for what could be the most hyped golf event in many years, maybe ever. The 25 Ryder Cup at Bethpage Black. They had the ceremonies yesterday. And I must say, Luke Donald is just so eloquent in these things, so polished. He was so good. He was in Italy 2 years ago when he spoke Italian. Remember that? The guy, when you put a microphone in front of him, although he's supposed to be an introverted kind of a guy, but when you put a microphone in front of him, he is eloquent. And then there was Keegan Bradley, who I loved his fire. He mentioned that golf is the business of his family. Dad, a pro, aunt, a Hall of Famer. Pat Bradley on the LPGA. I thought he did a good job, except he made a major mistake. He was referring to the Miracle in Brookline when he was 13 years old, and he's a New England guy, and he was at those matches when Justin Leonard, remember, on 17, drained that incredible putt. And then everybody went crazy, and there was no sportsmanship around. It was just sheer joy and bedlam and all of that, and he said it was there that he established himself as a guy wanting to be a part of the Ryder Cup, that it changed his life, except for one thing. Instead of saying Justin Leonard, he said Justin Rose. Nobody caught it till afterwards. It was rather humorous, I kind of thought. So they had these opening ceremonies yesterday. Normally, they would be today. And then you go right into the matchups on Friday. And then after the ceremonies, with the introduction of the players and all the elegant speeches, they give you the matchups. But because of a rain threat for today, a real rain threat, and hopefully weather's not going to be a big story of the Ryder Cup this year, they moved the opening ceremonies ahead. They did it yesterday. They will make the matchups today. Here's my only hope. I want to see in every session Scottie Scheffler versus Rory McIlroy. Won't happen, but that's what I would love to see. Have you got any wishes on that?
No, that would be my biggest one too, is to see that. I mean, he's been number one golfer for this entire season. Rory's been number two the whole season. What better competition could you want for?
No, I think everybody wants that. It'd be great for golf to see number one versus number two.
Absolutely.
Every time out there, and my money's on Scheffler.
Oh, mine would be too.
So that's the one W I think you're going to get. Now, does Scotty have to go 5-0 for the U.S. to win? Maybe. I don't know. I know it's home course advantage, and I know home course has held up in the modern times every time except one, right? So I know that history, but I look at that European lineup, and I see clutch guys. I see guys, as Justin Rose pointed out, playing for pride, not for money. And then I see guys like Cantlay and Schauffele and their attitude about this whole thing 2 years ago, which kind of ticks me off. And I just see more competitive, more talent on the European side. Hope I'm wrong. Nobody wants the Americans to win more than I do, but I definitely have my doubts. I mentioned home run galores last night. Cal Raleigh gets to 60. I think he's now the fourth American leaguer to get to 60 with Babe, Mantle, Maris, and now Cal Raleigh. Can you believe we're saying Cal Raleigh in the same breath with those guys? But it is amazing. He gets 260 out of nowhere, and the Mariners got hot at the end, erased Houston. They clinched the Western Division last night. Aaron Judge got to 50. It's the fourth time that he has done that. Do you know who else, Landon Schmidt, has hit 50 home runs more than 4 times or more? Because this is pretty select company.
Babe?
Bingo. Anybody else?
I want to say Jackie.
No. Babe,
Sammy Sosa.
Sammy, and McGuire.
That was going to be my next guess, was McGuire.
And those two guys were obviously using performance-enhancing drugs. Sosa was not only using performance-enhancing drugs, but he corked his bat. So he was double cheating. But nonetheless, 4 times the guy has hit 50, and he's absolutely championed the Yankees' cause down the stretch. And then last night, the team that Milwaukee or Philly, I don't know who's going to win that National League. I'm hoping the Cubs, but the Phillies set a team record last night. As a club, they hit 8 home runs, and they clinched a first-round bye. 8 home runs. Wow. By the way, the Cubs not bad last night. Scored 10 runs, beat the Mets, solidified that hold, which is still there over San Diego for the top wild card spot. So that was baseball last night, and it was a lot of fun. Tigers, as I mentioned, they get set to go to Boca. We have our coaches meeting, so we'll know a little bit more. My gut feel, and we'll talk with Jarvis Greer, final segment of the show on this. My gut feel is the Tigers are giving away 13.5. I think you can give away 13.5 because FAU gives away the football. They are -8 in giveaway takeaway. I don't know that I've seen this in a while. They've played 3 games. They've thrown 9 interceptions. That's hard to do. But the Owls, starting quarterback has thrown 7. The backup has thrown 2. Picks, not touchdowns. That would be troubling if you were an FAU fan. By the way, their coach, youngest coach, I think, in college football at age 34, came from Texas Tech. He was around when Cliff Kingsbury was tutoring Pat Mahomes, so that he's got that offense. And his OC is actually 33. That combination is the youngest combination of head coach and coordinator in college football, 33.5 years of age. Another young man, Pete Pranica, is going to join us here in just a minute as we sit in the Family Leisure Studios, and we remind you that spa sale, the biggest spa sale, is still big and still going on. Where the spas started under $3,000, the big swim spas, they're 30% off. The floor models specials are even better, and the cold plunges, the newest craze, they started under $5,000. You still get the free umbrella if you get a patio furniture set. The swimming pools are clearance sailed all the way through October, so you've got another 5 weeks on all of that. I'd get there and know that special financing is available and tell them we sent you, because if you get a pool and you mention us, you get free installation. Head to I-40 and Whidden Road and head on over to see our friends, Billy, Lindsay, the whole crew at Family Leisure. We head cross town, and the television voice of the Memphis Grizzlies, as he does every Tuesday, joins us now. But now it's more urgent. It's more timely, because Tuesday, yes, less than a week, the Grizz open training camp. They're opening up in Nashville. Why Nashville, Pete Pranica? Good morning.
Good morning. There's been no public acknowledgement of why. I think it's not all that unusual, because I think this is the 3rd time for Nashville. There's been Birmingham, there's been San Diego, there's been Santa Barbara. So there's been a variety. It could be a couple of factors. Number one, sometimes you kind of want everybody away from friends and family. Let's bond a little bit. And the fact of the matter is, they're going to be at Belmont University. They had been at the Ensworth School last year. The Ensworth School, I think the Grizzlies had 3 or 4 full courts available to them. The practice facility at FedEx Forum has a court and a half. So, it could be a function of, hey, we just want a little bit more room, a little bit more space, and or we just want to get away and bond as a team. So I'm not sure exactly what the rationale was, but those would be some things that I would say might have factored into the decision.
I first off, Ensworth, that is amazing. That's a high school with all those courts. Belmont, by the way, I don't know if you've been to Belmont lately. My daughter lives in Nashville, and so we've passed by it just sightseeing, looking at things, and I'm blown away by the beauty of that particular place. And they obviously have good facilities, so I'm not surprised at that. And here's the reason: if I were the Grizzlies, I would do that. The Grizzlies want to be a regional draw. They got to play 45 games or 43 games with the exhibition season, whatever it may be. That's a lot of games. You want people from all over to want to come to see not only the Grizzlies but all the other stars. So introduce them to your team. Get that market to know you. It's 3 hours away. I don't blame the Grizz at all for doing that.
Yeah. No, I mean it is. I mean this is a team that has. I think if you look at it, I think the Grizzlies with the regional broadcast reach. I think they have one of the largest, if not the largest, footprint in the NBA, which obviously includes Nashville, goes into Arkansas, goes all the way into Missouri, actually, as well. So, yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense, and you're going to get some TV coverage in Nashville as well. And last year when we had some games on free TV, there were affiliates in Nashville and Knoxville that took the games. So, there's no question that it's going to broaden the appeal.
All right. This will be the real beginning of the Tuomas Isalo era. We saw a sample of it at the end of last year. We saw more pick and roll and that sort of thing. It was great for Ja. It was great for Zach Edey. Now he gets to implement his structure, I think he termed it in one of the articles I read, his framework, which I like that. It's like when we're doing research for a game, you have charts, I have charts. I call the initial stages the bones of the charts. He calls it framework. I like that term quite a bit. But will we see that much different, you think, from the end of the year sampling to what this will be on a full-time basis?
I don't know that it's not going to be a massive overhaul, but Tuomas even said when he was given the interim job, we'd only have a couple of practices. I've got 9 regular season games. There is no time really to put together what his system might have been in Paris or might have been in Germany. So there will be some more changes and probably a more fuller look at what he wants to do. His philosophy has always been the defense is always wrong. It is our job to find where they are wrong and then punish them for where they are wrong. That's his basketball philosophy, and I will be interested to see how exactly that works. I did a deep dive on the possessions and the play types that were run pre-change and post-change, and there's no question that the pick and roll became a much more utilized weapon for the Grizzlies after Tuomas took over. That has been one of his favorite ways to go. But that may be the framework, but the interior detailing is going to vary probably from team to team because he really likes to figure out how the other team is going to play their defense and how can we deal with that most effectively. So and I'm very much looking forward to going to camp and having a chance to talk to him and see what's going on. And then we're going to have the open practice coming up a week from Saturday. So looking forward to those opportunities to spend some time with him and figure it all out.
I know he's known as an offensive guy. And as you mentioned, the pick and roll thing is the most obvious to begin with, which is why Edey and Morant were so good toward the end of the year till really both of them were not 100% physically. But defensively, is there a Isalo style?
That's something that I really haven't seen either online. I mean, more of the talk is offense. one of the great hires was to get Ryan Saunders, who has NBA head coaching experience, who knows the league very well, to be the lead assistant coach. And so that is going to factor into it as well. I don't know exactly how they're going to divide up the coaching duties. Every coaching staff, works a little differently. Offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, not sure exactly how all that is going to play out. But I think the hiring of Brian Saunders is a great get for the Grizzlies.
All right. I don't know if he would get motivated by this. I don't know if he even saw it, but I suspect he did. Ja Morant was rated the 33rd best player in the NBA yesterday by a couple of writers from ESPN. They did a power ranking. 33rd, he was in the 20s last year, so his stock has dropped. He's only played 59 games in 2 years. I can understand why he was dropped as much as he was. He's not even the highest rated guy on this team. That is Jaren Jackson Jr. at 31. He's moved up slightly, and he's the best player by them on this team. Your thoughts on that power index and what that will do to light a fire under Ja Morant?
I think it's going to light a big fire under Ja Morant. He doesn't take flights, easily. So I think just judging by his off season, going overseas, the adulation he saw from crowds there, and how much he means to people literally around the world, and how much he means to young people who idolize him, and the fact that he hasn't been available, and the fact that his stock has dropped, and the fact that you go to Summer League, and a couple of years ago, Ja Morant's picture's all over Summer League. The league is not promoting Ja Morant, okay? That fact is not going to be lost on Ja, and I believe that he is going to come out, and he is going to come out with full force, and he's going to come out with a renewed sense of, hey, I need to be on the floor in order for this team to win. And when people ask me, how will the Grizzlies do this year? I'll say, if you can tell me how many games Ja Morant will be able to play, then I'll give you an answer. If he plays 65, the Grizzlies are messing around, probably around a 5 or a 6 seed, trying to stay out of the play-in. If Morant plays maybe only 40 games, now it's an entirely different proposition. So hopefully good health and everything being equal, he will be able to play 65 plus, be eligible for postseason awards, and be a guy that might be an all-star and a fringe MVP candidate.
Is 65 out of 82, which means you miss 17. If you're healthy, is that the new standard? Is that the benchmark? Because I got to remind you, it wasn't that long ago. I'm an old guy. You're an older guy. Michael Jordan played in every game. Scottie Pippen played in every game. Those guys, that generation, Bird, man, they played in every game. They tried to. Even when they were, look at Bird struggling with a bad back. He tried to play in every single game. Magic had AIDS and somehow came through. And when he came back, I guess with the help of medicine that's now still in vogue, still being used, he played in every game. Where are we now? Is 65 considered you're an Iron Man?
Well, 65 gets you qualified for NBA awards. Right. we know that. It's a totally different world, Wolo. When I came up in this league in the early 90s, you had a trainer. Maybe you had an assistant, and that was it. Now you have physical therapists, you have massage therapists, you have multiple trainers, you have kinesiologists, you have all these different people. And, the metrics have taken over, and teams have so heavily invested tens, 20s, millions of dollars in these players.
50.
How do we? Well, yeah, it goes even higher than that. How do we keep them healthy? How do we keep them productive throughout the life of that $50 million contract? And so I'm with you. I love the guys that play 82. And you look at a guy like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he's like, I'm not taking a night off.
Right.
And those are the types of guys that you really want. But it's gone from where the player would tell the trainer, I don't care, tape an aspirin to it, I'm playing. And now it's to the point where at least in my opinion, league-wide, and I think in all athletics, now it's the performance staff, it's the training staff telling the player, no, we don't think you should play, and then that becomes the final word. So it's a totally different environment than we grew up in, that we came up in, and yeah, but too long way around of saying, well, I think 65 is because it's the way the NBA looks at it. I think that's the benchmark. If you play 65 plus, well, you're eligible for end of season awards. So that's why I always use 65 as that number.
And end of season awards mean bonuses that are in contracts. That's the other key to all
Exactly.
of that. All right, there are 4 newcomers, and we've only got like 2 minutes, real quick.
Okay.
Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Ty Jerome. I'm going to include Jock Landale because I think he's going to be in place until Zach Edey's around.
Correct.
And Cedric Coward. Where do you see these guys all fitting in?
Well, I think Cedric Coward, I'm eager to see him. We didn't see him due to injury in Summer League. Landale can play a role with Zach Edey being hurt at the start of the season. Ty Jerome could be a fantastic sixth man for this team. And Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, he's won championships with 2 different organizations. He's the quintessential 3-and-D guy. He's a great veteran teammate and can be a role model for the younger guys to say, hey, you want to get to the mountaintop? I've been there twice. Here's how we do it. So I think his leadership ability, his ability to shoot, to be a 3-and-D player, I think is vital. And hopefully Ty Jerome will have the same type of offensive output that he had against the Grizzlies in that game in Cleveland.
Really excited about the new year. I am anticipating, I think favorably. I know that West is so hard. I'm not saying top 4, maybe not even top 5. But I think in the mix everywhere else, and I want to see what Isalo can do given the opportunity now to make this his team. We'll talk more about that, maybe starting lineups next week as well. Thank you, Pete. Enjoy Nashville.
Okay, thanks.
All right, that is Pete Pranica, the TV voice of the Grizzlies. We take a quick break. We are going to Columbus, Ohio. We talk with Bill Bender, the great college football writer from the Sporting News. He comes your way in just a minute.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Memphis is a love song to soul and style. With the full suite of sought-after designers, brilliant natural diamonds, an elegant bar, luxury VIP lounge, and more, a trip to our store is an experience like no other. Just like the city we love. Stop by any of our stores or visit sissyslogcabin.com and experience Sissy's for yourself. Memphis is our home, and we're your jeweler.
Sissy's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Hey everybody, are you ready? Well, you should be, because it's time to load up and head for the games or hit the road with All-Star Chevy. All-Star Chevy right here in Olive Branch is getting you ready for driving season, for tailgate season, and everything in between. Come check out the all-new Tahoes and Suburbans, Traverses. All the Silverados are here. Financing as low as 0 or 3.9 and no payments for 90 days. 1.9 and no payments for 90 days on a new 2026 Equinox. And your good credit, of course, deserves it. Military and first responders, you get an extra $500 bonus. And All-Star has the best of the best pre-owned and certified Chevys. Tons of Silverados, Tahoes, Equinoxes, even the sexy, sleek-looking Corvette Stingray. If you have any car or truck you want to sell, this is the best week, and All-Star Chevy is the best place to bring your title and get a big check today. Are you ready? Let's go together. Let's drive. Everything you want is here. All-Star Chevy in Olive Branch, or go to allstarautogroup.com.
The WNBA playoffs are here, and the heat is on. Bet on your favorite teams and stars with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the WNBA. DraftKings puts you in the action with player props, live betting, parlays, odds boosts, and more. And for a limited time, all new DraftKings customers bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code HERGAME. That's code HERGAME for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly only when you bet just $5. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Fees may apply in Illinois, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
Looking for a new ride for less than $5 a day? We got it at Gossett Kia on the Pike, and they're all equipped with Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. 2025 Kia K4 LX, $145 a month, 39 mpg highway. 2026 Kia K5 LXS, $230 a month, and 2025 Kia Telluride LX front-wheel drive, $298 a month. All $49.99 due at signing, 24-month lease. Plus, we got it the all-new 2026 EV9, 72 months available, and rates as low as 0.00. Ask for Bobby J. He'll put you in a new Kia today. Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, or online KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 650 acquisition fee, K4 LX SE 183.3119, MSRP 24,440, K5 LXS T54 13,744, MSRP 28,750, Telluride SG 689,239, MSRP 38,255. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through KFA. Excludes tax, title, and license with approved credit. Dealer stock only. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 10/2/2025.
Listen each and every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. and join Ottawild Presbyterian Church for worship. Ottawild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Gabe Woloshin.
To Columbus, Ohio we go. Bill Bender standing by. We talk college football with the great sporting news writer every week. And, you know, usually when games start, you start just talking about that and the football aspect of it all. But there's so much going on. There's meetings in Chicago. There's a lawsuit where a player just beat the NCAA again, the junior college thing that Diego Pavia used. So did a young man from Indiana yesterday, Lewis Moore, beat the NCAA. He got an extra year through this year. Bill Bender, what is your thoughts on that? Is this the way it's going to go, that if you're a junior college player, you can play 2 years there and then come and have 4 years of college football still to play, and you might be 26 when the whole thing ends? Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me, as always. I hope not, but, I mean, this is the direction it's headed. I always go back to that 80s movie. Some of these guys are going to look like Scott Bakula in Necessary Roughness at this point. Right. And I don't know how old he was when he made that movie. But, I've never been a fan of it. And I'm kind of – I understood COVID year. Don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about that. But I've kind of been a proponent of whether it's a medical red shirt, a red shirt, whatever red shirt, 5 years is pretty good, right?
Right.
You can't figure it out in 5 years. That's what it should be. Now, there are exceptions, but there are very few exceptions to that rule.
I've heard a couple of college coaches speculate, that they would be okay if the NCAA just said, look, we're going to give you a blanket 5 years. That includes every redshirt year or whatever. Yep. Once you sign with us, you got 5 years. You could play all 5 years. It's not 4 to play or 5 years to play for. It's all 5 years you could play, but that's it. There's nothing more after that. I could accept that.
You know what? I'm kind of with you. And when I first read, I think Brett Bielema was among those that were talking about that. And I kind of, the old school traditionalist in me was kind of like made that face like, no. But if we're going to have all these wrinkles and 4 games and it doesn't count toward your red shirt, why not just play 5 years?
Yeah.
No, I totally agree with that. That leaves room for the portal. That leaves room for, a guy gets hurt, those kind of things. But when you have these stories where it's hard, like I have a teenage son, it's hard to teach your teenage son and about to be teenage daughter about commitment and those kind of things when you see guys go to 6 schools in 6 years.
Right. And we're seeing more and more of that. And there's a couple of guys I'm doing the charts for my game with Florida Atlantic this week, and there's a couple of guys there that they're on really their 5th school in the 5 or 6 years, and I don't know how you could ever really be good or comfortable in a system if you do that. And you going back to it's really 5 games out of 13 because you can play in 4 games and a bowl and still be eligible. That seems nuts to me, especially since you can play in 5 full games. In 13 contests in football, and in basketball, you play 1 second of one game, and they play 40 through the NCAA tournament, and you lose the year. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think you're onto something, and you talked me into it, Dave. That the blanket 5-year thing is the way to go. It would make sense. Now, when I talk about kids going 6 schools in 6 years, I do understand the dynamic kids want to play. You want to go where you're going to play. If you're buried on a bench, I understand that.
Sure.
But I'm always a proponent of waiting your turn, especially at the quarterback position. And I'm going to point out somebody, Ty Simpson at Alabama, 5-star kid. A lot of those 5-star kids move after 1 year. We kind of threw Alabama under the bus, but if you look at how he's played in these 3 games, it's been pretty good. Garrett Nussmeier was that guy last year.
Right.
I like guys that wait their turn. When they get that turn after sitting in a school for a couple of years, that they do well.
Arch Manning, come on. Give him credit, too. I mean, he waited his turn.
He could have left, if anybody could have left.
Sure.
And he's starting to turn it on a little bit. And the thing about Arch that he deals with, that no other player in this country deals with, is everything he does is a story.
Right.
He flexes over a guy in the end zone, which is it me where I was like, who cares? I literally said, "Who cares?" You know how many guys flex over guys in the span of a college football Saturday when you watch as much football as we do? But it's Arch Manning, so it's a story.
Well, the one good thing about that, just knowing that family as I do, they're prepared for it. He's equipped with being able to handle that, and I admire that part of that family's legacy as well. Let me get to this before we waste too much time here. The Chicago meetings of the NCAA college football expansion coming up again. Some people are writing they're going to stay at 12 for another year. The Big Ten, apparently, according to another reporter, is throwing out 20 or 20. They threw out 24. Now they're down to 20. They want set teams from all the leagues to be in there, which to me is rigging the whole darn thing. I don't want to see that at all. I want to see champions, and then if you played a hard enough schedule and you won enough games, then you would get in. What do you think is going to come out of all this?
20's too many. What are we doing?
Yeah.
If you want to go to 16, fine. That's it, right? Like
I'm with you on that.
You can make an argument, and I love the NCAA basketball tournament, and I know we both have a mutual friend, Mike DeCourcy. We argue about this all the time. The NCAA tournament happens. I like as much chalk as possible in the Sweet 16 because I know those matchups are going to be unreal. I leave the door open for the Cinderella stories. It's not that I don't like them. But if I have a choice between watching 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 5, 7, trying to do this, you know what I get, 7, 4 matchup in that second weekend. Talking matchups in the playoff. I do. I think the straight seeding will help with that. 16 more than enough teams. You're going 5 and 11. And at a certain point, and I've had this argument back and forth, not so much with Mike, but with others, you can say the regular season matters more, and in November it is exciting. But you got to understand, Dave, I grew up with Ohio State, Michigan.
Right.
That game means more, and that game weighs more. And now you have this possibility. It happened last year. Ohio State lost that game, won a national title. They may play 3 times in a year. And that's not as fun to me. That part of it is not as fun to me.
Well, I believe the Big Ten is saying if they were to go to 20, which to me is crazy. 16 is perfect. Just do that and sit there for a few years and evaluate. But it seems to me to be the right number. 5 champions, 11 that would be at large. Come on, that works. I don't think there would be very many arguments past that. I mean, does a team with 5 losses deserve to be in the in the playoffs? No. To 4, you can make the argument that they don't belong in there, depending on, in my estimation, strength of schedule. I don't see how a team beyond 16 would really have a chance to win the playoff.
Right, and any given year, only 5 or 6 teams have a chance to win the whole thing. and that's the way college football has worked pretty much my entire life.
Right.
But it leaves room for the Cinderella. Like I said, the first round of the playoffs to me is like the first round of the NCAA tournament, except Memphis. Like, let's take Memphis, for example. Don't you want a playoff run to feel special?
Oh, yeah.
Or is it just, let's just lump us in with 19 other teams? Like, if Memphis were to go on and, after last weekend, go on and win the American Conference, go on and get in the playoff, and then you're out a team, you go to Indiana in week one. Indiana top, by the way. They played great last weekend.
I know.
Memphis goes to Indiana, pulls off an upset of Kurt Signetti. That is, to me, going to be probably the greatest moment in program history.
But the NCAA would do, they'd rig it. Here's what they would do. They would play Memphis and Tennessee because Tennessee won't play Memphis. They always do. Like for the NCAA tournament, they say it just doesn't come out that way. They do the S-curve, and I've had this argument with Mike DeCourcy. But the storylines always come out one way or another where, this team would never play the other team. But now they got to because the NCAA tournament makes them.
Right.
That I could see that happening where they would send Memphis to Knoxville for the first round.
Yeah, just for TV. It's a TV show. What I'm always told, the TV show. And, so I always do the comparison as an Ohio University grad. The best moment of my Ohio University fandom in my life was when they made a Sweet 16 run, right?
Yeah.
And then they played North Carolina in the Sweet 16 and out for a couple plays at the end, and if Harrison Barnes doesn't hit a three, they're in the Elite Eight against Kansas. That felt like a national championship to me as a MAC graduate. And I want that moment in football. Like, if Ohio University, which, by the way, played pretty well in their non-con, got a chance to do something like that, it would mean a lot to me. Of course, they would schedule us against, like, Texas or something, but I would still go to that game as a fan.
Absolutely. Now, my question for you would be, do you think, since you brought up Ohio, there's UNLV from the Mountain West, do you think it's the American that is a lock to have their champion go at this point to the playoffs, considering all the W's against Power Fours that league has produced?
Yeah, probably, but it depends on the cannibalization factor. So, like, if it gets to the end and you have a two-loss American champion, let's say it's Memphis. Let's say they take a couple here in the play, and then that argument becomes them. I would selfishly argue, look at Ohio's non-con. They played at Rutgers, lost by 3, beat West Virginia, and played at Ohio State, which nobody was expecting them to win that. And then they played Gardner-Webb. Give us one, man. They played 3 Power 4 opponents. I do think the American has the drop on it because of the attention and the wins that South Florida, Memphis, and Tulane have piled up. And I think Navy's going to have a factor in that conversation as well. UNLV, obviously, with Dan Mullen's got a chance to make some noise as well. So it's going to be fun. To me, that's fun. And again, if you go to 20, then you and I aren't having this conversation because we're like, they'll take 2 or 3 of them and they'll make sure they're in a horrible first-round game.
That's where I disagree with you, Bill. Just by history, if they go to 20, it's still going to be one group of five or group of 6 by then because the Pac-12 will be included in that. And all the other 19 will be from the Power 4. And by the way, the Big Ten wants 6 in for the SEC and the Big 12 before we even start, which is totally crazy.
It's horrible. I'm not going to get into politics, but I make the joke all the time. It's like, I don't want college football to be the electoral college. You know what I mean? Like, your state gets 4, you get 4, this one gets 1. That's not what this was meant to be. You want the best teams out there. I actually always mention this all the time. Ohio high school does a very good playoff system. They have a computer element to it. You play your schedule. You get credit for playing. For example, Memphis would have got a ton of high school points for beating Arkansas in the SEC last week because they played up. But and it does weigh the schedules pretty effectively. So 16 teams, 5 automatic berths, 11 at-larges, play the first 2 on campus, first 2 rounds on campus, and let's get this thing over before the NFL playoffs really get going. That's how I would do it.
I can't argue very much with you on that. Since we're mentioning the littler conferences, the big conferences are now all going 9 conference games, plus you got to play one of the other Power Fours, 10 games. That makes only 2 games that would be against either bye teams or lower mid-majors or however you want to put that. It's great for TV. It's great for the fan to watch. It's tough for those other teams to create any kind of momentum or to build a resume. What's your overall thoughts about what the Power Four have just decided to do?
Now you're going to hate me because if I was Big Ten commissioner, I would go for 10 conference games. I would play 10. I would play 10 because I get 5 at home, 5 on the road. I would play 1 Power Four outside of it, and then I would play 1 Group of 5 school. I mean, that's how I would do it from their vantage point. As a MAC grad, I'm like, kind of like that Ohio had the opportunity to play all those schools,
right.
You know? But that's how I would do it on the Big Ten side. I would do 10 conference games. And if we're going to factor in that, yeah, this is harder. And I think Paul Feinbaum had a really good point this week about the SEC. The SEC has 10 ranked teams. The SEC has 13 teams with 1 loss or less. The SEC has done a very good job in those head-to-head games with the Power Four, and the committee should recognize that. Now, Paul will go the way he goes if he had his way, right? The entire field would be just the SEC Invitational.
Right.
I don't agree with that, but that conference has the most good teams, and if one team has 3 losses, it probably is better than another conference with a team with 1 or 2.
Here is what I do like. You know, the coaches had to suck it up and take half of them are going to get an extra loss that they wouldn't have gotten because half the teams are going to lose in that 9th conference game. But what I like about it is they've assigned the rivalries, and for the most part, they got these right. Like Ole Miss is going to play LSU, Mississippi State, and Oklahoma. Arkansas is going to play LSU, Missouri, and Texas. Tennessee is going to play Alabama, Kentucky, and Vanderbilt. And Tennessee gets the break on that. Maybe Ole Miss got the raw end of the deal. Instead of playing Vandy, they got Oklahoma. But my point is, the way they set this up, all good games, really good games, and they will play each team at least once every 2 years. So in other words, in the cycle, you're going to play at home and home against a team that you might not have normally played. If you'd stayed at 8, you wouldn't have played them for 4 years. I think they got it right.
So you play at every campus every 4 years at least once, right?
That's
Isn't
correct.
that how it works?
Yeah, yep.
That is a beautiful scheduling model.
Yeah.
As somebody that's in the 18-team Big Ten, and you know, there's I think like Ohio State, for example, they haven't played at Iowa in forever, and I grew up watching that game all the time.
Sure.
You know, they haven't played at Illinois in a minute, and you lose some of that tradition. I think the beauty of that SEC schedule is you can tell a recruit or a recruit's family will play everywhere over a 4-year period. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I think they nailed it.
The SEC got it right. No
the
doubt.
rivalries, there were a couple, but that's what's going to happen when you have 16 teams. And rivalries do evolve. I always say, as you know, when I was in high school in the 90s, as somebody that kind of followed the SEC, you know, Florida, Tennessee was the game. Now it's Georgia, Alabama, or you could argue that it's something else.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of good rivalries in the SEC to go around.
No doubt. Bill, as always, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you next Thursday. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
That's Bill Bender from the Sporting News. We take a break. We're heading downtown momentarily to talk to the Hall of Famer. That's Jarvis Greer. He comes your way in just a minute.
Not only can you listen to your favorite shows on Sports 56, you can also watch video of the shows live on Twitter and YouTube. Watch and listen every day at Sports 56 WHBQ.
Don't miss the 53rd Annual Pink Palace Crafts Fair at Audubon Park, September 26th through the 28th. Bring the whole family and enjoy 3 days of food, live music, and of course, shopping for one-of-a-kind arts and crafts from across the Mid-South. It's a Memphis tradition you don't want to miss. The Pink Palace Crafts Fair, September 26th through the 28th at Audubon Park. Sponsored by First Horizon Foundation, Friends of the Pink Palace, and your friends at Sports 56. Maria's Cantina in South Haven is not your average Tex-Mex joint because they're serving up Mexican with a twist. Maria's Scratch Kitchen is the most creative and diverse menu around. Beyond the traditional huge quesadillas, chimichangas, and fajitas, Maria serves up hand-rolled Latin egg rolls, Cajun and Creole items like catfish, gumbo, and boudin balls, as well as the best sandwiches and 8-ounce burgers in town. Wash it all down with a house margarita for only $5.50 and happy hour every day till 6. MariasCantina.com, 6717 Airways, Mexican with a twist.
If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know. Binswanger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 145 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Binswanger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. Visit Binswanger Glass in Midtown at 340 South Hollywood across from the Liberty Bowl. Visit binswingerglass.com. Binswanger Glass.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
All right, let's dance on downtown. Jarvis Greer standing by. What a game on Saturday at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. The Tigers get another Power 4 W. They put themselves in position, as even Bill Bender just acknowledged from the Sporting News that their fate's in their own hands. All the big games are at home, and it's because of the gritty defense in the second half and the opportunistic play that the Tigers had that they beat Arkansas, put themselves in this position, win 46 in just 5 1/3 years for Ryan Silverfield. So, Jarvis, let me ask you this. Is this the biggest win for Ryan Silverfield's era? Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Dave. Well, this is really something because if you look back, he's had some big wins over Power 4 teams before.
He's won every bowl game.
Yes, that's correct, and including in bowl games. And this is, I think it's the whole context around this past game against Arkansas. The fact that where it came in the season when you were 3-0 and the league, the American looks really good. There are other teams that already had Power 4 wins, and this is your first crack at it, and you get it done. And then it sets you up to look really good going down the rest of the season to make not only make the American Conference Championship game, but also, shot to get in the college football playoff. Because if you win the American, you will be the rep. The Group of 5 rep in the college football playoff. Yeah, we're just 4 games in, game number 5 on the road. You cannot trip yourself up in any of these games. And like you said, you got all your big games at home. And a lot still can happen in this season, but the Tigers are sitting pretty right now. And they're the ones on top of the world when it comes to controlling their own destiny. It is, you can truly say right now that their destiny is in their hands.
You know, what is interesting, I agree. I think almost certainly that the American will provide the playoff spot for the Group of 5. But Bill Bender brought up a good point. Let's say a school like Ohio that has 2 decent close losses to Power 4. If they run the gamut and they go 8-0 in the MAC. And then the American winner loses 2 games, right? Just saying. Because there are so many good teams. I mean, it's hard to say that South Florida won't give Memphis a heck of a game, or Tulane won't give Memphis a heck of a game, or Navy won't give Memphis a heck of a game. Army's already got a win over Kansas State, so they got a Power 4 win on their resume. If the American has 2 losses and the Ohio or the MAC champion, Buffalo, by the way, also was 2-2, and I think they had 1 close loss against the Power 4. Does that trump it if there's an undefeated group of 4 team from the MAC or the Mountain West if UNLV runs the table?
Well, I think the key thing you said there is that these American teams have wins over the Power 4 conference competition. And I think, no other MAC team is going to play an American team or play a Power 4 team down the stretch here. So I think that is the key difference. Even if they do run, and there are some good teams in the MAC, but they won't be able to put up, unfortunately for them, they won't be able to put up the resume that Memphis or Tulane or the USF or, even Navy. Well, not even Navy. Navy's really good, and Tigers will see them here at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium on Thanksgiving. I think the American has just proven that so far through all the competitions that they are equal to the task when it comes up to playing these Power 4 teams. And you say, oh, well, they're not that good. The Power 4 teams are playing. They're still Power 4 teams, and they gloat whenever they beat you. We don't even think about it. Well, they're glad to get the wins. And now with the American is strong. Tulsa, Oklahoma State is down. I think they just let their coach go. But Tulsa went into Oklahoma State and won in front of a full house.
That got the coach fired, by the way.
Yeah. Well, these things happen. The worm turns, and it looks like the worm is turning in the Americans' favor. And any team in this league, that's why, we said that when all that business was going on about the Pac-12, and we ought to go run to the Pac-12, and the Pac-12 is not giving you any money, and it doesn't have the exposure that the American has. And now the American was kind of shaky there, and they made some moves and changed some coaches around, and we're starting to see, the results of that in football at least.
Yeah, football only. That's the problem. It's basketball is where it really gets
football
hurt.
floats the boat though, because that's where everything's going. You can have the greatest basketball team in the world, but you got to be doing it in football and know the right people and get the right connections and able to get you where you ultimately want to go.
And by the way, the group actually they took all the American put this out on their release. They took all the conferences and their record of non-conference wins and losses, and the American was just behind. I think it was the Big 12 was the last one. ACC might have been third. Big 10 and SEC won two, and the American by far from the group of 5 had the best composite non-conference record, and they had all those Power 4 wins. So we enter conference play. You can't be better than 4-0.
Hey, one more thing, Dave. One more thing. I say that the American had the best bowl record last year of any league. I think there was only one loss out of the 7 teams that went.
Yeah, that's right.
And several of those games were against Power 4 teams, including the one Memphis played down in Dallas against West Virginia.
Right. All right. So you can't be better than 4-0. What have you found to be the strength? I know running is going to be one of those. What are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? What are the question marks in your mind as we get into this phase of the season?
Well, it's easy to say running has been the strength. You put up 290 yards on the ground against Arkansas, and you say, their defense on that. Well, that's still 290 yards against the behemoths of, those lines. That's where the biggest difference is between Power 4, Group of 5 is the Hogs up front, and the Tigers were able to come and run. And that was Arkansas' strength, was against the run. And they got gashed for 290. So, running definitely, and definite strength is the fact that your quarterback can run. Brendan Lewis had 103 yards rushing. When was the last time we had a quarterback rush for 100 yards in a game?
I think you had to go back into the 90s to find that.
Yeah.
Maybe even before that. But you know what? You say that, the best quarterback run of the day didn't even come from Lewis. It came from Arrington Maiden, 11 yards with a 387-pound guy on his back.
And I'm going to give him a nickname, Dave. I'm going to call him Arrington Iron Maiden.
There you go.
Because he did an Inagata DeVito on that. I don't even know if that was the same group that did that. But, man, that was just – everybody was shocked, surprised, and jaw-dropped out of that run because he literally willed himself to a first down that basically ended the game. And running the football has been a strength. Weakness, could you say pass defense?
I would say
busts. But they pick people off.
I would say defensive back busts is the biggest weakness.
Okay.
Big plays, explosive plays have been made on the secondary, and here's the thing. They've usually come early to midway in a game, and then Jordan Hankins makes some sort of adjustment, and they get straightened out. But that has been, if I'm looking at anything, teams have had success with big, long pass plays.
Yeah, and like you said, early in the game, Georgia State, they were getting gashed there by their two quarterbacks down in Atlanta. Of course, you had the big bust to start the game against Arkansas, and that was just a flat-out bust on the long touchdown pass.
Well, there was a bust in the game at Troy that was taken away by an illegal formation, but my goodness, that was a bust.
Yeah, and that's the only problem they had in that game. They've had multiple interceptions in 2 of the 3 games so far.
Yes,
and a pick in every game. So it's including 2 against Arkansas and Taylor Green, who is a really, really, really good quarterback. So that they kind of make up. It could be, you could call this a big play defense if you want, because that was the biggest play of the day, that Chris Bracey going in and punching the ball out on the goal line. They got the cheesiest National Defensive Player of the week. I wonder how many cheeses he gets for that. National Defensive Play of the Week, when he went in and punched the ball out of Washington's hand when he was trying to go for a first down there close to the Tigers' goal line and come up with the fumble. That was huge. And a lot of those other plays have been, just as big. So, it's like it's an either or. Sometimes you give up some yards, but then you get some big plays on the back end. And Arkansas only got 3 points with that prolific offense in the second half.
That is correct. Right. They scored with 1:35 to go in the second, and that was the last time. They got a field goal. They
got a field goal.
That was it. As always, Jarvo, we appreciate your time. I'll see you in a few minutes on South Campus, and I'm looking forward to doing the game again with you in Boca. Thank you much.
Yeah, we'll be down there. Palm Beach, I think, is where we're staying, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Well, that's where we land. I'm not sure. I think we stay in Boca, but we'll see.
I think you got your golf clubs. You sent them ahead of time, right?
I should, because we got all day to sit around. But no, I'm going to watch football. There's a lot of good games on. Thank you, Jarvo. We appreciate it. We'll talk next Tuesday. That's Jarvis Greer, our Hall of Famer. He's brought to you by Ken, another Hall of Famer. I'm serious. Ken Garland belongs in the Hall of Fame of custom home building. His dad before him, now Williams in the business, 3 generations of unbelievable work. Go to their website, kengarland.com. You'll see the palaces they have built around our Metroplex for 80 years. You want somebody you can trust? And just ask anybody who's ever done work with them. They're with you the whole way. They see little details. They see the big picture. They spell it out. 6 months after a job is over or something goes wrong, they're right there. They're going to take care of you the whole way. If you need land, they'll provide it. If you've got land you're not sure how to utilize, that's where their expertise comes in. And if you want to renovate because you don't want to move but you want modern amenities, they're the king of renovation with innovation. They're the best. 80 years attest to that. Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. That'll do it for us. We'll make our picks tomorrow. Andy Shipman will come back a whole lot more. That's tomorrow. Johnny Radio's next. Have a great day, everyone. Family Leisure doesn't do anything small. It's always got to be big, just like the world's biggest spa sale. Happening right now at Family Leisure. Check this out. You can get spas starting under $3,000. Spas and even swim spas, they're up to 30% off. Floor model spas have even bigger special prices. Cold plunges are all the trend right now. Take the plunge starting under $5,000. You see a patio furniture set you like? You could get a free umbrella with it. Ask an associate for details. Plus, swimming pools are clearance price now through the end of October. Get yours before the prices increase. That is with any big sale. Special financing, it's available. The only thing small during the world's biggest spa sale at Family Leisure are the prices. Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
Let's up your life with Let's.
Surprise the family with a new club car and experience the best golf cart in the industry. A new golf cart is perfect for cruising the neighborhood, enjoying yourself at the lake, turning heads on the course, and just having something reliable to use around the yard.